In this video, we're going to be looking at how to create an effective plan for writing a letter, a formal letter. Now, this video has mainly been created for Level 2 ESOL students in preparation for their Level 2 ESOL writing test. However, the skills or the techniques, the writing techniques in this video should also be helpful to people writing outside of an exam setting. So I hope whoever watches it will hopefully take something away from it. So we'll be looking at how to create an effective plan. Why do we need a plan? A plan helps us to organize our thoughts in a more purposeful manner. We organize our thoughts so we know exactly what we want to say. There is a purpose in what we say. Every word, every sentence that we write in a letter has to have a purpose. It has to have an aim and a meaning, and that's one reason why we write a plan. Another reason why we write a plan is just to ease the process of writing, because once we've done a lot of the work in the planning phase, then writing the letter will become a lot easier. Let's take a look at a sample question, and again, this is for Level 2 ESOL. There are plans to build a new airport near your home. The residents of in your neighborhood are unhappy about this, about the fact that there's going to be a new airport near your home. Write a letter to the editor of your local newspaper, summarizing your objections to these plans and outlining what the local community plans to do about this development. So a lot of information here. There's going to be a new airport near my home. The residents aren't happy about this. Okay, so residents in your neighborhood, this suggests people who are going to be living close to that airport. So that's important to know. We need to write a letter to the editor of the local newspaper, so I need to remember that, and that tells me that it's going to be a formal letter. I'm not writing a letter to a friend, and I need to include 2 points in this letter. The 2 points that I need to include are my objections, basically why I do not like this idea, why I am objecting. And I also need to write what our local community will do or how they will react to this plan of creating this airport. So 2 parts need to be evident and need to exist in my letter. And again, my audience is an editor of a newspaper, therefore my writing is going to be formal, which means as few contractions as possible. That means we don't write isn't, we write is not. We don't write can't, we write cannot. We need to keep it as formal as possible, and that also includes other vocabulary as well. So in this video, I'm not going to be writing the letter, but I'm going to be outlining what a plan would look like. Basically, this is the way I would create the plan. You might want to do it in a different way. For each part of the response, I'm going to give 2 main points. Okay. For each point, I will give more detail and examples. This is much better than writing many points, but only discussing 1 point in each sentence. So we're not going to say 5 or 6 different objections or points. We're just going to give 2 points, but each point I'm going to elaborate, give more explanation and more examples. Why do I do that? Because if I write too many points, I don't get a good quality letter, and also I may lose marks for the purpose of the test. So 2 objections will be enough, but each objection I'm going to elaborate and explain a little bit more. So again, this is personal. My first objection is going to be regarding the environment. In my very first paragraph in a letter. That's where we introduce why we are writing this letter. That's the introduction. So this, which is the environment, is going to be paragraph 2. So paragraph 2 is going to be regarding my environment, and because I'm starting a paragraph, then I need to have an appropriate topic sentence. A topic sentence is a sentence that introduces the paragraph, and this is going to be a separate video. But just to let you know, paragraph 2 in this letter for me is going to be about the environment. I am making objections to the creation of this airport because of the environment. In my paragraph, I'm going to talk about carbon footprint, and I'm going to give the definition. So just to let listeners know, our carbon footprint is basically the amount of carbon that we use in our daily lives, and how this will affect pollution, how this will increase pollution. So it's going against the environment, basically. We are leaving much more or much bigger carbon footprints, unfortunately, which means we are damaging the environment. So that's one thing I'm going to include in my paragraph. I'm also going to say why these carbon footprints are problems. Why is it that emissions of all these gases, etc., from all these airplanes at this airport are going to be a problem? Why is this going to be a problem? And then I'm going to give an example. And the example I'm going to give is going to include statistics. Now, if you're writing a real letter to a proper editor, then obviously you need to do some research regarding the statistics. If you're writing in a test, then you can just make up your statistics, because a test is just assessing your English. Nobody's going to go and check to see if your stats are correct or not. Okay, so that's one thing I'm going to talk about in my paragraph about the environment, and I've put ORE. My students know that I have given a specific structure to the paragraph, and the structure is you give your opinion. What is carbon footprint? I define it. This is what I understand of carbon footprint. It's my opinion. I give my R, which is my reason. Why is this a problem? And I give my E, which is example, here. So basically, when we're writing a paragraph, we give our paragraph a structure. We don't just want to throw some sentences in. We start with our opinion, and then we give the reason for that opinion, and then finally we give the example. So that's what I mean here. I'm going to give my opinion. Firstly, what is carbon footprint? And what do I think about it? Why is the carbon footprint emission a problem? And finally giving examples. So that's what I'm doing. I have a second point also in this paragraph, and that is noise pollution. So I'm going to give my opinion on noise pollution. Why is this a problem? And again, give examples. And here, for examples, I might say that a huge number of residents might have to be forced to relocate or move because they don't want to be dealing with the whole noise of airplanes landing every few minutes. So that's what I mean. Noise pollution, my opinion. Why is this a problem? This is my reason, and I'm going to give examples like people having to move. That's my example again, ORE. Okay. So that's going to be paragraph number 2 in my letter. I mentioned that I'm going to make 2 objections. My second objection to this plan of having an airport is going to be alternative projects. So instead of creating an airport, I'm going to suggest that there are alternative projects that the government or the community can have with that money. I'm going to write about the urgent need to expand the accident and emergency of the local hospital. Again, I'm just making this up. It's just for the purpose of the test, but the English has to be good. There is an urgent need to expand the A&E of the local hospital, and I'm going to give reasons for this, and again, I'm going to give examples. Okay, so don't use the money to build an airport. We need an A&E for the hospital. Use the money here. Or alternatively, there is an urgent need for more accommodation. We need more housing. Again, I'm going to give the reason for this, and examples, I'm going to give statistics. So like I say, the point of this video is not to write the letter itself. I'm just outlining my plan, that what I will be writing, and this is my plan. Now this has become very clear to me what my objections are going to be, and once I've done this, then writing it is going to be a lot easier because I've already done half of the work. Now, initially I said that I'm going to write objections, but if you remember the question itself, it said summarize your objections and outline what the local community plans to do. So there are two parts to this letter. I've given my objections, so what's the community going to do? How is the local community going to respond or react to this event or the creation of this airport? So in my plan, I've written down that the local community's response is going to be, we're going to stage peaceful protests. Stage here is the verb. That means we're going to conduct or carry out peaceful protests. We're not going to be violent. We're not going to be uncivil. We're going to be very peaceful, but we want the local community to know we are not happy about this. We're also going to write to the local MP. MP is Member of Parliament. We're going to write to the local MP and again voice our objection. This is another way that our local community is going to respond to the creation of a new airport. In the event of no resolution, that means if the protest doesn't work and the letter to the MP doesn't work, then we're going to make headlines, and that means we're going to appear on national news channels. So then we're going to take it a step further. And in my opinion, I've written this letter, it's my opinion, this is how my local community is going to respond. Okay? So I have a clear plan. Now I can begin writing the letter because I know exactly what I need to write. Now that my plan is clear, I can focus more on my vocabulary, on my linkers, which is how I will be using specific words to show my opinion, my reason, my example, the beginning, the ending of a paragraph, etc. And I can also include some good grammar. It can be very daunting, very overwhelming. We've got so many things we need to worry about when we're writing, especially in a test. We need to focus on the vocabulary, on the grammar, on the linkers, on the correct punctuation. We need to focus on many, many things. If we can at least do a good plan, that's one thing that we don't need to worry about later, and it's all there for us, and it's much easier for us to write. I hope that you find this video useful. Thank you.